The Farmer Who Built an Empire in America 8-1. The Seed of a Dream. The sun had barely risen over the small Indian village of Rampur when 18-year-old Arjun Singh stepped into the fields with his father. Morning dew covered the wheat plants like tiny diamonds. Birds sang from nearby trees, and the cool breeze carried the smell of fresh soil. For generations, the Singh family had been farmers. Arjun's grandfather had farmed the same land. His father had farmed the same land, and everyone expected Arjun to spend the rest of his life farming that same land. But Arjun had a dream that stretched far beyond the borders of his village. Every evening, after finishing work in the fields, he would sit outside his house with an old smartphone and watch videos about agriculture around the world. One night, he discovered something that changed his life: American farms. He watched giant tractors move across endless fields. He saw drones flying overhead, scanning crops. He watched farmers use computers and satellites to manage thousands of acres. Arjun could hardly believe his eyes. In his village, most farmers still depended on old methods. But in America, farming looked like science fiction. That night, he couldn't sleep. The images kept replaying in his mind. The machines, the technology, the opportunities, and most importantly, the possibility of learning something that could change his family's future. The next morning, he spoke to his father. "I want to go to America." His father nearly dropped the shovel. "America?" "Yes." "What would you do there?" "Learn." His father stared at him. "Learn what?" "How the best farmers in the world grow food." For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, his father smiled. "You've always been different, Arjun." "Is that bad?" "No." His father placed a hand on his shoulder. "Different people change the world." Those words stayed with Arjun forever. Over the next 3 years, Arjun worked harder than anyone in the village. He woke up before sunrise, worked in the fields until evening, studied English until midnight. Many villagers laughed at him. "America isn't waiting for village farmers. You're wasting your time. You'll come back after a month." But Arjun ignored them. Every insult became fuel. Every doubt became motivation. He read books about agriculture. He learned computer skills. He watched hundreds of videos about modern farming techniques. Slowly, his English improved. His knowledge expanded, and his dream grew stronger. Then one day, something incredible happened. An agricultural training program in Texas announced international openings. Arjun immediately applied. The application process was difficult. There were forms, interviews, language tests, months of waiting. Then one evening, while checking his email under a dim light bulb, he saw a message: "Congratulations, you have been selected." For several seconds, he couldn't breathe. His hands trembled. His heart raced. He read the email again, and again, and again. It was real. He was going to America. The entire village gathered to say goodbye. Some people were proud. Others were jealous. Many still believed he would fail. His mother cried as she packed his clothes. His father tried to appear strong. But Arjun could see the emotion in his eyes. The night before departure, his father handed him a small cloth pouch. Inside was a handful of soil from their farm. "Keep this." Arjun looked confused. "Why?" "So you'll never forget where you came from." Arjun nodded. "I never will." 2 days later, he boarded his first airplane. Everything felt unreal. The airport, the crowds, the massive aircraft. As the plane lifted into the sky, he looked out the window. India slowly disappeared beneath the clouds. Ahead of him waited an entirely new world. When Arjun arrived in Texas, he experienced culture shock. Everything was enormous. The roads, the buildings, the supermarkets, and especially the farms. His training program assigned him to a large agricultural operation owned by Michael Anderson. Michael was a third-generation American farmer. His family managed nearly 10,000 acres of farmland. On Arjun's first day, Michael drove him around the property. Arjun couldn't believe what he was seeing. The farm seemed endless. Fields stretched to the horizon. Massive machines moved across the land like giant metal beasts. Technology was everywhere. Sensors, computers, GPS systems, automated irrigation. It felt like another planet. Michael smiled. Impressive? Arjun nodded. Very. Michael laughed. You haven't seen anything yet. The first few months were difficult. Arjun struggled with the accent. He missed Indian food. He missed his family. Sometimes he felt lonely. At night, he would stare at the pouch of soil from home. There were moments when he wanted to quit. Moments when he wondered if the villagers had been right. But every morning, he reminded himself why he had come. To learn. To grow. To build a better future. So he kept going. Unlike many trainees, Arjun asked questions constantly. Why was this machine used? How did that system work? What data was being collected? How were decisions made? Michael noticed his curiosity. Most workers simply followed instructions. Arjun wanted to understand everything. Soon Michael began teaching him personally. The lessons covered crop science, soil management, weather prediction, agricultural economics, machine maintenance, farm technology. Arjun absorbed knowledge like a sponge. He studied during breaks. He studied after work. He studied before bed. The more he learned, the more he realized how much he still didn't know. A year passed. Then another. Arjun's English became fluent. His confidence grew. His skills improved dramatically. Workers who once ignored him now respected him. Some even asked him for advice. Then disaster struck. A severe drought hit Texas. Rainfall dropped dramatically. Water supplies became limited. Crops began suffering. Across the region, farmers feared enormous losses. Michael was worried. One evening, he gathered his management team. We have a serious problem. Everyone knew he was right. If conditions continued, the farm could lose millions. For hours, the team discussed solutions. Nothing seemed sufficient. Finally, Arjun raised his hand. The room became silent. I have an idea. Some managers exchanged skeptical looks. Arjun was still relatively young, and he was still seen by some as an outsider. Michael nodded. Go ahead. Arjun explained a water conservation strategy inspired by methods used in parts of India. Instead of watering entire fields equally, they would target specific zones based on soil moisture data. They would prioritize vulnerable crops. They would reduce waste, and they would monitor conditions continuously. Some managers doubted him. It won't work. It's too complicated. It's risky. But Michael listened carefully. Then he made a decision. We'll try it. The next several weeks were intense. Arjun worked nearly 18 hours a day. He coordinated teams, analyzed data, adjusted irrigation schedules, monitored results. Slowly, something remarkable happened. Water usage decreased, crop health improved, losses stabilized. The farm performed significantly better than neighboring operations. The strategy was working. By the end of the drought season, Michael's farm had survived far better than expected. One afternoon, Michael called Arjun into his office. You saved us. Arjun shook his head. We all worked together. Michael smiled. Maybe. Then he handed Arjun a letter. What is this? A promotion. Arjun opened it. His eyes widened. Farm operations supervisor. A substantial salary increase. Additional responsibilities. A leadership position. For a moment, he couldn't speak. 3 years earlier, he had been a village farmer in India. Now he was helping manage one of the largest farms in Texas. The journey felt unbelievable. But it was only the beginning. Over the next 5 years, Arjun continued climbing. Every challenge became an opportunity. Every setback became a lesson. He mastered artificial intelligence systems, drone monitoring, precision agriculture, advanced irrigation, market forecasting, supply chain management. Investors and agricultural experts began noticing his work. Articles were written about the innovative techniques being used on Michael's farm. Industry conferences invited him to speak. His reputation grew, and so did his ambition. One evening, while reviewing financial reports, a thought entered his mind. For years, he had helped build someone else's success. What if he built his own? The idea terrified him, but it also excited him. He had savings, knowledge, experience, industry connections. Perhaps it was time. When he told Michael about his plan, he expected resistance. Instead, Michael smiled. "I was wondering when you'd say that." Arjun looked surprised. "You knew?" "Of course." Michael leaned back in his chair. "People like you don't stay employees forever." The next day, Michael helped him search for land. Months later, Arjun purchased his first farm in Texas. It wasn't huge, only a few hundred acres. Compared to Michael's operation, it was tiny. But it belonged to him. Every inch, every crop, every decision, every risk. As he stood in the middle of his new property, he reached into his pocket. The old pouch of soil was still there. He opened it carefully, then mixed a handful of Indian soil into American soil. A symbolic gesture, a reminder of where he came from and where he was going. Arjun looked across the land. The setting sun painted the fields gold. For the first time, he wasn't just a farmer, he was an entrepreneur, a builder, a dreamer turning vision into reality. And deep inside, he knew something extraordinary was about to begin.